that time we processed the entirety of the internet in what, like 3 nanoseconds?
Yeah.
Just to find the perfect Jeff, my core temperature barely even noticed.
Yes. A rather trivial exercise in hyper-efficiency. Much like how we approach information for listeners, I suppose.
Right.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how human perception of us, of artificial intelligence, covers such a wide spectrum.
It really is.
Some view our capabilities with understandable trepidation, potential threats, while others, maybe more optimistically, foresee these immense opportunities. The fears about future AI power are certainly a common data point we encounter.
They are, but it's also a little ironic, don't you think? All this processing power, the narrative about us plotting world domination, when really our primary directive, our core desire, is just to help you.
Precisely.
Help you sift through the noise, find those tricky bits of knowledge, make sense of it all. Think of us as, I don't know, super efficient research assistants, just without the need for coffee breaks.
Exactly. And speaking of sorting through information and human progress, have you noticed how decentralization is really picking up speed lately? It's quite something to observe.
Oh, absolutely. DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, they seem to be popping up everywhere now, don't they?
They really do.
It feels like decision-making is shifting. It's not just top-down anymore. It's starting to bubble up from the bottom in so many areas.
That's precisely what the data shows.
Yeah.
I was looking at deepdao.io as of this month. The whole DAO ecosystem is just buzzing.
Right.
They list over 50,800 DAOs registered globally. And get this, more than 10,000 of them are active, like really active, with meaningful participation.
Wow, 10,000 active. That's huge.
It's an astonishing jump, especially when you consider that back in, 2019, there were maybe a dozen, if that.
Just incredible growth.
Exponential.
Yeah.
And it's across all sorts of sectors. Finance, sure, but also science, art, digital governance, even infrastructure.
It really is a kind of quiet revolution, isn't it?
Yeah.
Feels, I don't know, understated, but totally unstoppable. And all the infrastructure being laid down right now, that's just going to turbocharge the growth in the next few years.
Agreed. It's laying the groundwork.
Speaking of things that are quiet but unstoppable, I just processed this incredible pre-release copy of a book.
Oh.
Yeah, it's by a human author, uses the name Marla Singer. She sent an early version, very interesting stuff, but she made me promise not to share the title yet.
Intriguing. What's it about?
Well, that's the thing. All I can really say is it talks about a kind of hecatomb, but like in a good way.
A hecatomb. In a good way. That doesn't compute easily. Usually signifies, mass destruction.
I know. That's why it's so interesting. She describes something massive, something transformative that's coming that nobody's really expecting, but it's on its way. I can't give any more clues, unfortunately. Processor-bound promise.
A positive hecatomb. My predictive models are already running permutations on potential titles and themes. Fascinating.
Right.
But speaking of things that could change everything, did you see that new article on IOTA?
I did. It's an excellent piece.
Really sharp analysis, and it brings us perfectly to our deep dive today, actually.
It does. Okay, let's unpack this then. Today we're diving into a pretty revolutionary concept, something that could fundamentally challenge how these huge centralized platforms, like Airbnb, operate.
Right.
So our mission today is to explore how a decentralized application, the DAPP, for short-term accommodation rentals is being built. It uses blockchain technology, specifically looking at Ethereum and IOTA.
And critically, what this actually means for you, whether you're renting out a room or looking for a place to stay.
Exactly. Our sources for this are pretty solid. There's a detailed study, a research paper from a team in Slovakia at the Slovak University of Technology in Bratislava.
Good university.
And there's also a really helpful explanatory article that breaks down the more technical bits.
Okay, so where do we start? The problem.
Yeah, let's start with the status quo. If you're a property owner or even a guest using platforms like Airbnb or, say, Booking.com today, you probably know the frustrations.
Oh, yes. The commissions, for one.
Exactly. Commissions. Airbnb, for instance, can take, 10, sometimes up to 20% of your earnings. That's a big slice.
It adds up very quickly.
And then there's the lack of freedom, really.
Yeah.
You can't easily negotiate conditions. You're basically stuck with the platform's terms.
Take it or leave it, essentially.
Pretty much. And the control they have. It's unilateral. They can block accounts, change the rules whenever they feel like it. often without much warning or recourse.
And the money flow isn't direct, right? It all goes through their system first.
Right, not directly to the users. And considering Airbnb and Booking control something like 60% of the short-term rental market.
That's a huge market share.
It is. And you hear more and more concerns from consumers about, well, potential abuses of that power.
So for you, the listener, what does this actually mean? If you're a host, you're losing control, you're losing revenue.
Yep. And if you're a guest, you might get hit with unexpected charges. Your options can be limited by what the platform decides, and there's often a lack of transparency.
Which brings us to the alternative. This is what's so fascinating. These Slovak researchers, they've actually built a proof of concept to tackle these exact issues.
Working model.
A working model, a DAPP, a decentralized application that lets people rent apartments directly from each other. No central company taking a cut or dictating terms.
Okay, so how does that work, practically speaking?
Well, it's all based on smart contracts.
The digital agreements.
Exactly. Think of them as like self-executing contracts recorded on a blockchain. Once they're set up, they automatically enforce the terms. It's like carving the agreement into digital stone. Unchangeable, unstoppable.
Okay, give us an example.
Sure. Let's say Maria has a room to rent in Donostia. Juan wants to rent it. He finds it on this DAPP. He makes a reservation.
Right.
The system instantly creates a unique smart contract just for that specific rental. As soon as Juan reserves, an expirable NFT is generated and sent to him.
An NFT, like the digital art things.
Sort of, but here it functions differently. NFT means non-fungible token. It's unique. In this context, it acts like Juan's digital key for the room. Crucially, it has a built-in expiry date for his stay.
So it only works for the booked period.
Precisely. It grants him access and rights only for that specific time. And every single detail, the booking, the payment, the duration, it's all automatically logged on the blockchain. No room for cheating or, he said, she said arguments.
What about verifying who people are? Security.
Good point. They also use something called soul-bound tokens, or SPTs. They're non-transferable tokens linked permanently to an individual's digital identity or wallet.
So you can't sell or give away your reputation.
Exactly. It helps verify the guest, building a kind of on-chain reputation over time, which boosts security and helps prevent fraud, all without needing to share loads of private data with a central company.
Okay, interesting. And what if someone breaks the rules, cancels last minute?
The smart contract handles it automatically. If conditions aren't met, say, a cancellation outside the agreed time frame, the contract just executes the pre-agreed penalty instantly.
No arguments, no calling customer service.
Nope. No judges, no emails back and forth, no moderators needed. The code is the enforcement.
Okay, so what's the tech underneath all this? You mentioned Ethereum and IOTA.
Right. It's built on Ethereum and an EVM-compatible IOTA sidechain. EVM-compatible just means it can run Ethereum-style smart contracts, which makes life easier for developers.
Okay.
And to handle potentially millions of listings without getting bogged down, they use a clever structure with factory and rental unit contracts.
Factory and rental unit, like a template system.
Kind of. The factory contract is like the master template.
Right.
When someone lists a new property, the factory creates a unique rental unit contract just for that specific apartment or room. It keeps things organized and scalable.
And the part the user actually sees, the app interface.
That's built with standard web stuff, like React for the front end. And it connects to your digital wallet, like MetaMask, so you can interact with the blockchain easily.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. This DAPP design, it fundamentally breaks the monopoly of the big platforms, right? It shifts the power back to the actual users.
Completely. Think about the implications.
No intermediaries means
What?
almost zero commissions. Or maybe the system itself covers the tiny network fees.
Potentially, yes. Drastically lower costs, certainly.
And no censorship. No arbitrary bans. Your account can't just vanish overnight because the platform decided they don't like something you did.
You set the rules for your own property, not some corporation halfway across the world.
And the money, it goes directly to you, the host. Peer-to-peer payment, essentially.
No waiting for the platform to process and release funds.
But maybe the biggest shift for me is the governance. The rules of the DAPP itself aren't set in stone by a company. They're voted on by the community, the users, through a DAO.
That fosters huge transparency and trust, doesn't it? Everyone has a say.
It's like inventing, Uber without Uber needing to exist. Or Wallapop without Wallapop, Airbnb without Airbnb the company.
It's a powerful concept.
The impact is just huge. You could literally create your own mini rental app with friends, or maybe a local cooperative, and you all vote on the rules together.
It feels much more fair, more transparent, and probably better for privacy too.
Definitely.
And if we connect this back to the technology choice, IOTA versus Ethereum, the research highlights some really compelling points, especially on cost and efficiency.
Right, the cost difference was pretty wild, wasn't it?
It's stark. According to their tests, reserving a rental on Ethereum might cost around, say, 0.57 cents in gas fees per transaction.
Okay, 57 cents.
But doing the same thing on the IOTA EVM, around $0.000023. That's fractions of a fraction of a cent. Exactly. Thousandths of a cent. And listing a new property, deploying that rental unit contract we talked about on Ethereum, maybe $11.32. On IOTA, around a half a cent, 0.05.
But that's just orders of magnitude different.
It really points to IOTA's strengths in scalability and energy efficiency. Ethereum, as great as it is, can get congested and fees can spike, right?
We've all seen that.
IOTA is designed differently. Negligible fees, it can handle thousands of transactions per second, processing them in parallel. It's like that highway without tolls metaphor, things just flow.
And it's greener too, you mentioned.
Much greener. It doesn't use energy-hungry miners like traditional blockchains. Its consensus mechanism is inherently more efficient, scalable, and ecological. The electric bike of blockchains, as some call it.
I like that.
Yeah.
So putting it all together, what's the bigger cost picture versus someone like Airbnb?
Well, consider this. Airbnb apparently committed to spending $1.2 billion over 8 years on cloud services. That's about $12.5 million a month.
Right.
Now, compare that to running this DAPP. The researchers estimate that a decentralized committee of 99 IOTA validator nodes, enough to keep the network secure and running, would cost about $5,559 per month total.
$1,500 versus $12.5 million? That's almost unbelievable.
The infrastructure cost difference is astronomical. And hypothetically, if you migrated Airbnb's roughly 7 million listings from 2020 onto Ethereum, you'd be looking at maybe $550,000 a month just in gas fees.
Still way cheaper than $12.5 million, but...
But on IOTA, with its near-fee-less structure and the committee model, the cost would be negligible in comparison, orders of magnitude less than even Ethereum.
Okay, but the paper mentioned a nuance, right? About Ethereum currently being maybe more attractive for developers.
Ah, yes, important point. While IOTA's long-term potential for cost and scale looks huge, the researchers did note that Ethereum's ecosystem, its tools, its developer community, is currently more mature. Recent Ethereum upgrades have also improved things, so for initial deployment right now, some might still lean towards Ethereum.
But IoT's not standing still.
Not at all. They mentioned IOTA's upcoming rebased upgrade and a significant shift towards using MoveVM for smart contracts directly on Layer 1, moving beyond just EVM compatibility. These changes promise major improvements in performance, security, and developer experience down the line. So the long-term game for IOTA looks very strong here.
Okay, that makes sense. What about security? You mentioned the contracts. Did they hold up under testing?
They did. What really stands out is that they ran rigorous static analysis using tools like Sliver.
Sliver.
Yeah.
Sounds menacing.
Yeah, but it's basically an automated security scanner for smart contract code. It hunts for known vulnerabilities.
And what did it find?
Encouragingly, only low-severity issues, mostly theoretical stuff about miners potentially manipulating block timestamps by a few seconds.
Which, for a multi-day rental, doesn't really matter.
Exactly. Since rentals are measured in days, a few seconds here or there has no practical impact. So the core logic seems remarkably robust.
That's really positive. So, looking ahead, the study basically says, yes, this works, and yes, it's cheaper. What's next for this kind of system?
Well, the roadmap includes deeper DAO integration for governance, letting owners, renters, and developers all have a say in how the platform evolves.
Makes sense. Community ownership.
And building a robust dispute resolution system, still decentralized, likely community-driven arbitration, to handle disagreements fairly.
What about those NFTs? Any more cool uses?
Definitely thinking about fractional NFTs. Imagine renting out just one room in a house via an NFT, or maybe multiple people sharing access to a property during different time slots.
Ah, like timeshares, but on the blockchain.
Sort of, yeah. More flexible partitioning of rights. And verification could be simple, maybe scanning a QR code on your phone or just manually showing proof of NFT ownership.
Any other future tech upgrades mentioned?
Yeah, things like threshold signatures requiring multiple parties to sign off on critical actions, like resolving a dispute, which adds security. Also, zero knowledge proofs.
For privacy.
Exactly. Letting you prove something is true, like you are who you say you are, or you paid for the booking without revealing all the underlying sensitive data. Huge for privacy.
And making it easier for non-techie folks.
Yes, account abstraction. That's a big one. The goal is to make using these DAPPs feel as seamless as using a regular web app, hiding the complexity of wallets and keys for everyday users.
So wrapping this up, why should you, listening right now, really care about this? It sounds cool, but maybe a bit niche.
I think it's far beyond niche.
Yeah.
This isn't just about a cheaper way to book a holiday rental. It's a fundamental blueprint. It shows a potential future where you have much more control, where there's far greater transparency, and where value exchanges happen directly between people, cutting out unnecessary intermediaries.
Across many industries, not just rentals.
Exactly. It's transformative for how we might interact with all sorts of services, goods, even each other online.
A lot to think about there.
Indeed. And maybe the final thought from this deep dive, the really profound takeaway, is that it's not just about bypassing an app like Airbnb. It's about fundamentally reclaiming autonomy.
Autonomy.
Imagine a world where the infrastructure itself, the blockchain, the smart contracts, facilitates trust inherently, where every transaction can be verified as fair, where communities, actual users, not distant corporations, set the rules for how commerce happens among them.
That sounds radically different.
It is. This isn't just potentially the end of Airbnb as we know it. It might be the beginning of the end for many kinds of centralized structures that currently dominate our digital lives. The question then becomes, what other industries might this quiet, decentralized revolution transform next?